Hello all of you. I myself Amitanshu Ranjan Panda from Department of Civil Engineering, NIT Rourkela, India. Welcome to the presentation on insights on leadership from the book The Story of My Experiments with Truth by Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. This is based on the seminar and technical writing course under CE 4903. This contains the overview, the lesson on ahimsa, the rise against racial discrimination, sacrificing his duty towards his family, spirit of service, integrity of a leader, availability for his people, vision and empowerment, and conclusion. So let's begin. Overview. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, widely regarded as Mahatma Gandhi, is one of the most influential activist, leader, and an architect of India's freedom struggle. His lifelong philosophy of ahimsa, satyagraha, against injustice and compassion for poor has set forth many successful movements in history. In his autobiography, Gandhi has focused on his spiritual, physical, as well as societal experiments, which we shall discuss later on. As quoted by him in his book, any number of experiments is too small. This presentation is meant to throw a light on his leadership aspects, both in successful and unsuccessful scenarios, and how he reshaped humanity through his thoughts and deeds. The lesson on ahimsa. During his early years as a high school student, Gandhi was new to various customs, and his exposure to westernization was really difficult. So he, along with his a bit civilized friend, started eating meat and smoking cigarettes. As a result, this required him to have more money. Thus, the sinful act of theft crossed over him, and one fine time he chunked a bit of gold from his brother's omelette to pay his debt. But regardless, he felt so terrible about the act and couldn't help but to confess his father. This was first time he could remove the clouds of confusion and went to confess. As mentioned in book, I was afraid of the pain that I could cause him, but I felt that the risk should be taken, that there could not be cleansing without a clean confession. He decided to write down and submit his confession to ask for forgiveness. He thought that he would be angry, say hard things, and strike his forehead. But his father read it through, and pearl drops trickled down his cheeks, wetting the paper. He closed his eyes and tore the paper down. Gandhi also cried, seeing such a plight of his father, who was also ill then. As quoted by him, those pearl drops of love cleansed my heart and washed all away my sins. This was, for me, an object lesson in ahimsa. A clean confession combined with the promise never to commit the sin again, when offered before one has the right to receive it, is the purest form of repentance. This lesson left such a mark on his mind that in the later years he succeeded in his various endeavors through its application. Rise against racial discrimination. During his practice as a barrister in Natal, he discovered the racial discrimination in bills such as Indian Franchise Bill, which denied voting for Indian residents. Although his work in Natal was finished, but his intent for justice and fight for his brothers didn't leave him. For having a sustained agitation, he founded the Natal Indian Congress to carry forward the work. By this time, a law imposing a heavy taxation solely targeting the indentured labour was too much for the people. He led by actively holding meetings, awareness camps about the situation, and even writing paperwork depicting the injustice and torture inflicted on them. During numerous occasions, he was being assaulted by the Natal whites for his miscarried information about the government in British Indian government. But his staunch belief in ahimsa led to forgive all his miscreants. Often projected negatively in the public, he kept his mission of liberating Indian people of Natal. The most promising example he set up was by helping an indentured laborer named Balasundaram against his master's operations and challenging to the apex law of the region. To this date, he was first heard of and read about in India and overseas colonial countries with the indentured laborers, sacrificing his duty towards his family. In the years in Natal, along with his wife and two sons, and his widowed sister's son, were particularly took more time for catering in the foreign environment. But as he had to deprive his children from education for the reason mentioned, he didn't approve of them being taught in the Western style as it was futile to his ambition of Swaraj. As a result, both of his son and nephew had to remain homeschooled to the extent of being taught only by him. As quoted by him in his book, I advised that it was far better to remain unlettered and break stones for the sake of liberty than to go in a literary education in the chains of slaves. This shows what a great leader often has to endure for the sake of the greater good. The spirit of service. The later years in Natal led him to rise to spirituality, empathy, and public service as the court of his own time. In the Boer Wars, he enrolled himself in the medical corporation. He dressed the wound and hurt and also looked after the hygiene of people. When the Black Plague or pneumonic plague, which was more terrible and fatal than the bubonic, struck Indians in South Africa, Gandhi volunteered to nurse the victims, disregarding infection and fully knowing the risks. This act of service not only helped him to retrace the faith people for his works but also made him understand the difficulty and oppression faced by them. This, together with his will for Swaraj, was going to make a great impact on British colonization in the later years no one anticipated of. The integrity of a leader. In the aftermath of publishing about fights in Natal, he faced lynching after his return to South Africa. People pelted stones, tore off his kurta and turban, beat him with sticks and landed kicks. He thereafter was led to a safe place by the district police magistrate. On asking to identify the miscreants and lodge prosecution against them, he simply denied to. And he said, I have no anger against them. I am only sorry for their ignorance and their narrowness. I know that they sincerely believe that what they are doing today is right and proper. I have no reason therefore to be angry with them. In many occasions he has pocketed various personal insults and maintained his calmness over the things. This empathy only made him more focused towards his goal and identified him as the Mahatma. What Rabindranath Tagore had to say of him. Availability for his people. Gandhi was available to his followers and built real and genuine relationships. When he returned to India from South Africa and started the Indian National Congress, he willingly spent his time with workers and carried out clerical work at the Congress office. During his Sevagram days and roundtable conferences in England, every morning from 10 to 12, he was available to all those who sought his advice or proffered appreciation. He received them with a fraternal kindliness and tolerance, but never let them interrupt his feelings. The everlasting bonding between his friends, colleagues, and followers greatly shows how ingenuity and simplicity was engraved in his pious heart. This is one of the favorite quotes of him. I remain an optimist, not that there is an evidence that I can give that right is going to prosper, but because of my unflinching faith that right must prosper in the end. His vision and empowerment. Gandhi was a man of vision and the inspiring leader of a resurgent India who has given Indians a new spirit, a sense of self-respect, and a feeling of pride in their civilization. He is something more than a mere politician. He is a great statesman, a man of vision. Prior to independence, Gandhi's vision was to see India independent, and after independence and partition, his vision was to see Hindus and Muslims live in unity without looking for revenge and retaliation. Empowerment is a key characteristic of servant leadership. This characteristic enables servant leaders to possess a commitment to and derive satisfaction from the growth of others, believing that people have an intrinsic value beyond their contribution as workers. As Holmes wrote, to Gandhi more than any other Indian will be attributed the independence of India when this independence is at last won. To him, all this will be attributed the vast achievement of making his people worthy as well as capable of independence by reviving their native culture, quickening their sense of personal dignity and self-respect, disciplining their inner lives to self-control, and making them spiritually as well as politically free. His addressing of cleanliness and untouchability among people paved the way for social reforms. Gandhi, throughout his life, was a great follower of self-sustainment. His ideologies that have unfolded the Tiranga has led to prosper India and its countrymen to a globally recognized and developed position in a mere period of 73 years post-independence. Conclusion. Gandhi's ideals and characteristics depict clearly that he practiced servant leadership throughout his life in South Africa and India, as quoted by one of his followers. If Gandhi was a servant leader who engaged in human leadership activities, then the notion of servant leadership would be an Indian ideal rather than a Western ideal. So let's see a quote of Gandhi. Everyone is welcome to plunge into it. The life of us are full of experiments. If we go on making experiments, we shall always stand to gain something or other from. Weeds are ever mixed with grass as chaff, with grains of wheat. In the same way, every effort has two results. Just as we throw away the chaff and use the wheat, so in life we must embrace the truth and reject falsehood.